Well, good morning, everyone. This is Jamie Silver with Herf Jones. Hope this finds you well. For this week's episode, we are going to talk all about indexing. It's one of those topics that I remember when I was in high school, my yearbook rep told me to start the index early, and frankly, I never did. But please learn from my mistakes. I know it's already February here, but indexing is one of those great features, or I should say projects, to do early in the school year. That way, not only it gets the job done faster for you, but also through indexing, you're inevitably going to find some typos or whatnot. If you do run the index as you go, you have the ability to go ahead and fix that typo on the actual page rather than just the index itself. So as my rep told me, I'll share with you, I would encourage you to start this as soon as possible. Hopefully you've done so already, but if not, I've got two quick demos here to explain how to work on the index, edit the entries, and then flow the index. So we'll start with this one.
The Index Builder functionality in eDesign makes it easy to accomplish two key yearbook tasks: generating an accurate index of people and topics in your book, and helping you monitor the amount of coverage that you give to various individuals in your book. This video focuses on the first task and how you can use Index Builder to correct any errors and generate an accurate list of index entries. Select the page where you'd like to begin the index, or start with any page if you aren't sure where the first page of the final index will be. You can run the Index Builder as many times as you'd like throughout the year, or even while the staff members are working on pages. When you are ready to see the index information, click the Book View's Edit menu, then Build Index. When you click Build Index, Index Builder launches and begins its scan of your book. When the process is completed, you will see the dialog box shown here. This dialog box contains a listing of all the items found in your book that meet the criteria for a potential index entry. Your job is simply to indicate which of the items you wish to include in your index and merge any entries that refer to the same individual. You do not have to scrub the entire list in one sitting. Each time you run Index Builder, it updates the information based on the current state of your book, but it remembers all of your edits, including ignored and combined entries. You can scrub part of the list and bookmark where you left off, then come back to that same place at a later time. When you build a new index, Index Builder not only remembers your changes to entries, it applies those same changes to new entries. Let's say you have combined Principal Harris, Robert Harris, and Mr. Harris into Robert Harris. You then added another photo of Mr. Harris to your book and the index again. Index Builder automatically changes that new entry in the index to Robert Harris. You don't have to remember to go back and find that new entry and manually change it. The Index Builder does not change how Mr. Harris is referenced on the page of the book, so he will still be on the page as Mr. Harris, even though he's referenced in the index as Robert Harris. One thing to remember when you rebuild indexes: it works best to delete the previous index first, then rebuild your index. Otherwise, the Index Builder tries to index the index, and you end up with a lot of incorrect entries that you then have to clean up. You can sort the entries by clicking on any of the column headings. One click sorts the entries in ascending order based on that column. A second click sorts the entries in descending order. For instance, if I click twice on the usage column and scroll to the top of the list, I will see the entries that have the largest number of references in the book. The Pages column of Index Builder shows you the page number where a reference to each entry is found. The Usage column tells you the total number of references to a particular entry. This helps you monitor the amount of coverage that is given to individuals and topics in your book. For instance, this entry for Michael Alber shows me that Michael appears on pages 2 and 9, but also that there are 3 total references to him. That means that his name appears twice on one of those pages. The Print button at the top allows you to print a report that shows all of the included index entries in their current sort order. If you want to save the entire list of index entries to another file, click Export. Click Copy to Clipboard to copy the entire list. Open the application where you want to paste the list. In this example, we are pasting it into an Excel page. Press Ctrl-V or Command-V for Macintosh to paste the list. Save the file. Back in eDesign, click Close. The Review button is very handy, especially as you complete pages in your book and build new indexes. After you complete your review of entries, filter the list using the Non-Reviewed Entries filter. Select the reviewed names and click Reviewed. Then when you run the index again, filter the new index using the Non-Reviewed Entries filter. This displays only those entries that you haven't marked as reviewed, as well as those that were added since the last time you generated an index, saving you time. You only need to review the new entries and don't need to waste time looking at entries that you have already approved or corrected. Now we can start scrubbing your index entries. Let's say you have an entry from a caption that you don't want in your yearbook. For example, the debate club takes over Joe's Crab Shack on their big trip. You don't want an entry for Joe's Crab Shack in your yearbook, so click the entry and click Ignore. There will also be instances in your book where 2 or more entries refer to the same individual. For instance, Mr. Abernathy, Principal Abernathy and Joseph Abernathy all meet the criteria for a potential index entry. However, you know that Mr. Abernathy, Principal Abernathy, and Joseph Abernathy all refer to the same person and should be listed as one entry in the index. To combine these different entries into one index entry, select all of the items that you wish to combine by holding down the Control key or the Command key on the Mac and selecting the items. Then click the Combine button. You need to indicate which name you wish to use for the combined entries. I will choose Joseph Abernathy so that all the occurrences display in the index under Abernathy Joseph. Entries that consist of two or more combined entries have a blue dot in the combined column of Index Builder. If you ever wish to uncombine one of these entries, select the entry and click Undo Combine. This restores them to separate entries. You can see what names were combined by hovering over the combined name in the list. Fuse is very helpful with organization names. For example, you may have an entry Basketball Varsity Boys. Fuse switches the first and last name fields, then combines them into one entry. So, selecting this entry and clicking Fuse will give you Varsity Boys Basketball in the last name field. Similar to combined entries, there is a dot in the edited column of any entry that has been fused. To undo this, select the entry, then click Restore Original. Often a student has 3 or 4 components to their name, not just a simple first-last name configuration, and these names end up in the wrong field when you run Index Builder. This is easily corrected by moving a third name in the middle name position to the last name field. For example, if you select Ramirez Ana Gomez, then click Swap, it becomes Gomez Ramirez Ana. If there are 4 names, Index Builder automatically formats the name for you. For example, Ana Julia Gomez Ramirez will be indexed as Gomez Ramirez Ana Julia. You can make changes to any part of an entry. Select a name, then click Edit. You can change the case of an entry to all caps or title case. Make any desired changes, then click OK. You can also select multiple entries and make this change to their case all at the same time. Click Add to manually add a name. For example, you may have an entry that is one word not picked up by Index Builder, such as band or choir, or have multiple students with the same name. Any added names display red in the list. Perhaps you have some names you need to do some research on before making any changes. You can bookmark these names to make them easier to find later. Click on a name, then click the bookmark icon. It marks the entry on the left. You can also bookmark a name to remind yourself where you left off reviewing an index. Click on the arrow keys next to the bookmark icon to quickly move between bookmarked entries, or use the Bookmarked Entries filter to see all the entries that you have bookmarked. To get rid of the bookmark, just click on the name, then click the icon again. It's easy to filter and sort the list of entries. To sort the list, click on a column heading to toggle back and forth between ascending and descending order. There are several ways to filter the list. Active Entries displays everything except any entries you may have chosen to ignore. To see those entries, select Ignored Entries. Combined Entries displays names that were combined. It does not show the final combined name that you chose for the index entry. Click Edited Entries to see any entries that you have made changes to using the Edit, Fuse, or Swap buttons. User Added Names will show those names that you have manually added. Multiple last names, as it suggests, displays entries that have more than one last name. Non-reviewed entries displays any entries that you have not approved and marked as reviewed. Display any entries you have bookmarked by clicking Bookmarked Entries. If you are done reviewing entries for now, you can click the Save and Close button to exit the Index Builder, or click Next to begin the index layout and flow process. Remember, you can run Index Builder as often as you wish at any point in the year, and it remembers your edits. As you can see, there are many ways to edit index entries, and the Index Builder makes it easy to get it right.
Now, I know that seems like a lot, and it is a lot of steps, but for those of you who remember doing your book back in the day, this is a lot faster. So feel free to rewind this. Feel free to call myself, Sarah Eagle, any one of our tech support advisors at the 800 number, and we're more than happy to help you. If you have any questions along the way, we can access your index remotely as well. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call. We're here to help. After you get that done, and that step that you just saw is the most involved. That takes time, right? It's not hard. It's just a lot of work because you're checking all the names and grades and making sure everything is combined and fused as you saw, so it will all display correctly in the index. The final step, actually generating the index, which I'm going to show you a quick demonstration on here. This is the easier part. This is the fun part because you get to see the results of it. But the first part is where you're going to spend the most time. So if you have any questions, again, feel free to call. But next up is how to flow the actual index.
The Index Builder functionality in eDesign makes it easy to accomplish 2 key yearbook tasks: generating an accurate index of people and topics in your book, and helping you monitor the amount of coverage that you give to various individuals in your book. Pick the page where you'd like to begin the index, or start with any page if you aren't sure where the first page of the final index will be. You can run the index builder as many times as you'd like throughout the year, or even while the staff members are working on pages. When you are ready to see the index information, click the Book View's Edit menu, then Build Index. When you run Index Builder, eDesign scans your yearbook pages for sequences of 2 or more uninterrupted capitalized words and tags those items as potential entries for your index. This means that Index Builder finds and tags such things as Mary Smith, Anne Marie Jones. It also finds entries such as Beta Club, Boys Varsity Basketball, Quick Trip Food Mart. All of these items follow the pattern of 2 or more consecutive capitalized words. You can exclude any tagged items from actually being included in your index. Index Builder also has been designed to locate and tag names with common name prefixes such as day or la. Index Builder examines the text frames on your pages, as well as keywords that have been applied to images you have placed. This means that you can create an index of persons pictured in your book even if you don't have complete captions, simply by applying names as keywords to the images in your book. eDesign also tags all of the section and page topic combinations that have been applied to pages in the book view as potential index entries. To create entries for these items, you should apply both a section and a page topic to each page in the book module. For instance, designating a page as belonging to the sports section and entering a page topic for varsity cheerleading will generate an index entry for sports varsity cheerleading. When you click Build Index, Index Builder launches and begins its scan of your book. When the process is completed, you will see the dialog box shown here. This dialog box contains a listing of all the items found in your book that meet the criteria for a potential index entry. Your job is simply to indicate which of the items you wish to include in your index and merge any entries that refer to the same individual. In this step, you scrub the list of entries, making corrections. You can choose names to ignore, combine 2 or more names, add a new name, swap first and last names, use multiple last names into the correct order, and edit any index entry. Please watch the Correcting Index Entries video for more information. For now, we are going to assume the index entries are correct and ready for flowing. You do not have to scrub the entire list in one setting. Each time you run Index Builder, it updates the information based on the current state of your book, but it remembers all of your edits, including ignored and combined entries. You can scrub part of the list and bookmark where you left off, then come back to that same place at a later time. After you have reviewed the index entries and made the appropriate changes, you are ready to flow the index. To move on to Step 2, Index Setup, click Next. In this step, you'll do the general setup for your index pages. Select the page where you'd like the index to start. Then select how many columns you'd like and how they should be spaced. When you are finished, click Next. Many books use 3 columns, but 4 is also popular with larger books. Step 3 allows you to select the appearance of your index text. This uses the character styles you created in Book Setup. If you need to create a header or body character style, click the green plus sign next to the header character style box. This opens the Book Setup. Add or set up character styles for your index as needed. When you are done, click the X in the upper right corner to close the setup window. The header is the alphabet letter separating one section of index text from another. You can align it to the left, right, or center. Select how you want the header to align. The body character style is the formatting for the names and page numbers of the index. When you are done, click Next to move to Step 4, Layout. A preview shows the formatting options you have chosen, and the number of pages needed displays at the bottom left. If you don't have enough pages in your book to accommodate the index, you may have to use a smaller character style. To do this, click Previous, then choose a smaller style or create a new one. Use the left and right arrows to preview the index pages. You can fine-tune the layout of your index columns. Open up white space in the index by clicking a column and dragging the handles up or down. You might want to do this if you are flowing the index around other elements on the page, for example. Let's say you want to have a couple of photos within the index. You can open a gap of white space in the column by splitting it. To split a column, click it and adjust the number of rows as needed. For example, if you needed to split the column into 2 halves, you'd enter 2. You can adjust the 2 columns as needed by dragging the handles. If you'd like to clear out an entire column of white space, set the row value to 0. Click Next once you are finished fine-tuning the layout. Finally, you will see a confirmation screen. Review the number of names, beginning page, and total number of pages, and click Flow Index when you are satisfied. eDesign places your index content on the pages. You may edit these pages just like any others in the book. That comes in handy for small corrections. But the real power of the index builder is the ability to reflow all the pages at once. For example, say you'd like to have a bit more space at the beginning of the index. Rather than manually entering spaces to push the names down, you can reflow the index in a new position or with different font options. One thing to remember when you rebuild indexes: it works best to delete the previous index first, then rebuild your index. Otherwise, the index builder tries to index the index, and you end up with a lot of incorrect entries that you then have to clean up. Click the Edit menu, then Delete Index. When you build a new index, Index Builder not only remembers your changes to entries, it applies those same changes to new entries. Let's say you have combined Principal Harris, Robert Harris, and Mr. Harris into Robert Harris. You then added another photo of Mr. Harris to your book and the index again. Index Builder automatically changes that new entry in the index to Robert Harris. You don't have to remember to go back and find that new entry and manually change it. The Index Builder does not change how Mr. Harris is referenced on the page of the book, so he will still be on the page as Mr. Harris, even though he's referenced in the index as Robert Harris. As before, go to the ladder in Book View and click on the page where you'd like to build the index. Click Edit, Build Index. Click Next to move through the steps. When you get to step 4, you can drag the columns into a new position. In this case, I'm going to have the index start a little lower on the first page so I have room for a headline. Then you simply re-preview all your pages and flow again. And there you go, quick and easy corrections for several pages of index.
Again, I hope you found that helpful. Have a wonderful week, and I look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you.